Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Don't Sleep on the Couch podcast. I go by Cash, aka Exec P. Some of you might know me as Cash Flow Cash, whatever you want to call me. You know, we back for another episode, Indie Artist Spotlight. We have a really dope episode ahead for you guys. A couple weeks ago, artist out of Virginia called Hype dropped a really dope project called Talk to Me Nice, and he talking real spicy on here, man. A lot of aggression, a lot of aggressive bars to some of you rappers out there. I like that type of talk. I like the type of slick talk, man. He cut from the same cloth that of artists that I like, you know what I mean? So we definitely had to get him on there. Quite a few people requested him. He doesn't know that. But so that means it's making some waves, man. So pretty dope project, and I think you guys will agree. So without further ado, man, we got Mr. Talk to Me Nice, man. The man Hype, welcome to the couch, y'all.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. What's going on, man? How you feeling?
Great. I'm feeling good, man. That was a great introduction.
Hey, man, I try to lay it on thick, man. But you know, at the same time, man, I always appreciate having you guys on, and definitely Prez and I, my co-host, we definitely love to have people on that we actually feel and that we would push forward, whether it's behind the scenes without having a podcast or just because we have the platform. So welcome to the couch, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it for sure. I'm happy to be here.
No doubt, man. So I like to get right into these things and not waste anybody's time or your time, man. So tell the people a little bit about Hype, where you from. I know you grew up in Georgia. Now you're in VA, man. Give them a little bit about who you are and your journey in music.
Yeah. So as far as where I'm from, man, I'm from a little bit all over the place. So I was originally born in Cameroon, which is a country in West Africa. That's where, my people are from. So, that's why I'm native too. Lived there for most of my early childhood. And then from there, I moved to Quebec, Canada. Lived in Montreal for most of my later childhood into like my early adolescence. And then when I turned about 12, around 2010, I moved to Georgia in the United States, came to live with my mother. So, that's how I made my way into the United States. And then within the last year, I moved to Virginia, got a new job and everything. So, that's how I ended up here. As far as my journey in music, man, I've always had a thing with music. I've always loved music. I come from a household that, everybody loves music, different kinds of music. We've been different places in the world. So, we pick up different influences. And so, from an early age, I've always been, whether it's like church music, music at home, I've just always, heard music all the time. And, for me, I really got into hip hop and writing specifically because I've always just always been a good writer. Always been good with literature in general. I love to read. So I got into poetry, got into writing and hip hop. And then, when I was around 12 is when I really started listening to hip hop real heavy. Lil Wayne was actually my first favorite rapper ever. So he was the reason that I really got into it heavy around that time. And I was like, man, this is something that I really want to try out. So when I was that early adolescent stage, middle school, high school type of thing, I had been writing a lot, started producing when I was around 16. And I was still kind of like perfecting the craft. So I wasn't really putting anything out like that, just sharing it with some friends, things like that. It wasn't until I got to college and around 2018 is when I decided that I want to, take that step and get out there and put the music out there for people to hear. And so I did that. I dropped it was like a mixtape. It was called The Summer Is Over. It's like July 2018 when I dropped that. And so, the little bit of people that heard it, they hit me up and was like, man, you got to take this thing full force. You got to go all the way in. It was like, you got talent. What you're doing is like, you're really rapping. So that's when I decided like, all right, take this and see where it goes. And so, between then and now, I'd released a couple of projects and a couple of EPs as well. But this was like really, as far as, what I think of as an album, this was really my first album, which is why I called it my debut album, because this was the one that I really put, that time and the energy into to really craft it the way that, albums are crafted. So, that's kind of like a little backstory from the beginning up until now.
Yeah, I got a bunch of questions here, but I'm gonna throw them out the window for now because I got so many different questions went through my mind, man. Like I'm in the military,
Yeah.
so I know my kids have moved around countless times and a bunch of different influences. One of the guys I work for right now, he's from Ghana, and he's moved all around and been in the military quite a few years as well. So, and that's one of the kind of the areas that I work in as well. So it's interesting that you're from Cameroon. I know you mentioned it in a bar on your project in terms of why you blacking out.
Because I'm African.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yo, with that influence of, you mentioned to it, but I want you to kind of dig a little deeper into that. You mentioned having influence from all over, all different types of music, church music. But what made you land in hip hop in particular? You're 23, you know what I'm saying? You mentioned it in the project or whatever, and it's kind of being a running theme on this podcast, right? Like a lot of the young cats that we have on here, y'all don't sound young in terms of your subject matter, so it is really refreshing to hear, first of all. So I wanted to give you kudos on that. But the question is, no doubt. My question is, how do you land on this specific pocket of rap where, that's a lot of cats your age aren't rapping like this, you know what I'm saying? With really crafting the bars and paying attention to the bars as opposed to just being more melodic and more, I say non-lyrical, you know what I'm saying? What made you land on that?
So I think a lot of it has to do, like you said, a lot of the influences that I mentioned. So like, growing up in the household, I heard a mix of our native music, African music, a lot of, more maybe mainstream African music, Afro beats, that kind of stuff. And then also heard a lot of like soul music. My parents, they listened to a lot of Marvin Gaye, so I heard a lot of Marvin Gaye in the house. I even heard a lot of like Caribbean music, like Shaggy. But also, one thing that if you talk to a lot of Africans, especially, people my age, you'll realize like hip hop had a huge influence on us, because back home, and I tell a lot of people this, like back home, what we see in the media is a little different than what people would expect. So like a lot of our exposure, to Black people in America was hip hop, number one, and then whatever we saw, in the news that we had over there. So, like whatever we saw on like, CNN or whatever. So, hip hop is really like the biggest, like musical influence that we get from overseas as far as, other Black people are concerned. So like growing up, I had always heard, like little snippets of like 50 Cent. I remember hearing early on like Nelly, the song Dilemma with Kelly Rowland. I remember hearing that song a lot. So like hip hop had always kind of been in the mix, but I didn't really pick up on it, like I said, until I was in my early adolescence. So between like the ages of 10 and 12. And the way I really came into hip hop was, around the time that Drake was blowing up. So I was still in Canada around that time. So I'm in school and people would talk about this guy Drake, that's rapping and he from Canada, and everybody's like, man, he about to put Canada on the map when it comes to hip hop. And like we also had like French hip hop as well that I was listening to at the time. So there were a lot of dope French hip hop artists, but they hadn't really gotten me fully into hip hop the way that I got into hip hop when I really first heard Lil Wayne. So like, going from the Drake thing, there was a Drake song that came out called Over that I had memorized that song word for word, bar for bar. Like I was like, yo, this dude is spitting. That was like, I was a big Drake fan back then. So when I came to the United States, I used to rap that song all the time. And I remember somebody asking me like, yo, do you rap? And I was like nah, I just like that song. And then after that, the next song I remember memorizing word for word was Lil Wayne's 6 foot, 7 foot. Knew that one bar for bar, word for word. And like, at that time, I think he was about to come out with the Carter 4. So that was like really the first full hip hop album that I listened to was Lil Wayne's The Carter Four. Um, and like, he's a real punchline heavy dude, real heavy on like the slick metaphor. So, that kind of got me into, wanting to write so much. I listened to it so much. I knew it, word for word. I'm rapping it so much. I'm like, I want to give it a go for myself, see how I can do. Um, and then so I started writing and stuff, and to really talk about kind of why I guess my music sounds a little bit more mature is, going from that, and then the other artists that I started studying later on, like, Kendrick started popping up at the time, Joey Badass, ASAP Rocky, and then, I went back and started listening to other artists like Biggie and Nas. And so if you kind of look at all those artists, Kendrick, Joey, ASAP, when they was popping up, they was young, but they were a little
Subject
bit
matter.
more
Yeah.
lyrical than a lot of yeah, exactly, than the younger guys that come out now. So like that was kind of like, I guess what you would call like the tail end of the blog era, where it was like young cats was still trying to spit, really, so that's what I was kind of influenced by. And then when I listened to Illmatic, I remember, and I learned that Nas was like only 19 when he put that out. It's like the bar is kind of high. You know what I'm saying? And it's
Very
like,
much so. Very much so.
Yeah,
And that's
you know what I'm
why
saying? So,
that's why when me when we talk about music and just like in just different rap circles, whether it's hip hop Twitter, whether it's between me and my guys, we don't really
yeah,
give you slack for being young and being whack. You know what I'm saying? Because there's
right.
too many examples of dudes that was rapping their ass off and they was
hmm
21, 22,
And
23. You know what I'm saying?
exactly. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So like, when I realized that, and I realized like, Big was only like 20 something when he put out Ready to Die. Pac was only 20 something. So I'm like, this is what they've been. This is what the game always been like. The young dudes always been coming out the gate spitting. You know what I'm saying? Like all of our legends were in their 20s really when they put out their debuts, and they was talking heavy. So it's like it's like, so when I realized that, that's when I kind of realized like I don't have any excuse to be whack just because I'm young. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, I have no excuse. Like I gotta go hard. Like just because I'm young, that don't give me leeway because these guys was doing it younger than I am. So that's why as you would say, like I kind of fell into that pocket because I feel like the standard is high. If you want to be looked at in regards to those guys, like if you want your name in that top five, you have to walk that path. Like you gotta understand, like when you come out the gate as a young cat, like you gotta go hard. Especially now, I would say, because kind of like the renaissance of lyrical rap going on right now is carried by a lot of older guys. The Griseldas, a lot of the underground guys that are really starting to get some shine right now. They're like in the mid to late 30s, maybe 40s. So it's like we got to show people like the young cats still willing to carry that torch as well. If we're gonna be around a little longer and we want to influence the next generation, we got to show them that we have the skill set, and that we willing to earn their respect. So that's kind of why I fell into that, as you say, like that pocket of like lyrical rap, as a youngin, because yeah, I take it, seriously, and I have great respect for the culture. So I don't want to come in here and just do whatever, just trying to blow up and just spin whatever. Like it's not gonna satisfy me. So yeah.
Talking about respect. How do you, in the span of, I'll probably say the last 6 months, how do you have a feature with Skyzoo and then Elzhi? Like that you pretty pretty young, and then
Man.
you kept up with him. So my first time hearing just your voice on record was Marikai's project, and we interviewed him. And
hmm
then it always happens this way. Like when I hear somebody rapping with somebody as dope as a Skyzoo or Ransom or whatever, like, but the other guy is keeping up with them, then I always immediately go to search and ask questions and
Yeah.
see who this is. And then of course you drop with our man, my homie Furious Styles too as well. So he took interest as well. Have never had a
Yeah.
conversation with him about it. He just said hype is on the tape. I was like, okay. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people are taking interest in you, but how do you
hmm
feel about landing those two monsters and really doing your thing on track with them.
Yeah. So yeah, it was crazy, man. So the Sky Zoo thing, like you said, America, he hit me up and he was like, yo, I got this track that I want you to hop on for my project. And he was like, it got a Sky Zoo verse on it. So automatically I'm like, oh shit, okay. Like I gotta come with my best, right? So he sends it to me and I'm listening to it. And I actually wrote that verse the same day. I was in the car playing it. And so as it was playing and as soon as it got to the open verse part, like I'm just kind of going through freestyling off the dome to it, trying to see what kind of sticks for me, what kind of lands. And so that's usually how I write. And so, like I said, like because I have such like the utmost respect for the culture, and because I feel like if I want to be held in high regard with the rest of these guys, like I have to come correct. Like there's no way that I can slack on anything. And also, like I don't know, I don't know if he's sending it back to Sky Zoo to hear it or whatever. But it's like even just in case that these guys hear this, like I want them to know, like I didn't come on here just kicking whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like I want them to know, like I came on here to show respect, but I also came on here to be a competitor at the same time. So, that's how the Sky Zoo thing happened. And I was super grateful for that opportunity as well. For him reaching out to me and him telling me how much he respected my craft and wanted me to be on his project and then make it the lead single. So, that was super dope. And then with Elzhi, Elzhi he actually followed me on Instagram back in the summer of 2020. I was promoting a video through like the Instagram ads and stuff like that, which is usually how like a lot of people find me on Instagram. And Elzhi followed me, like he just followed me out of nowhere, and he had been liking a bunch of my stuff or whatever. So I was, anytime that like somebody like that comes across me and follows me, like I instantly like. I take a very aggressive approach with my, when it comes to my music. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I'm gonna instantly hit you up, especially if I'm a fan. Like, even if it's just to say thank you, I'm gonna do that because I believe in having good relationships with people that I look up to as well. So, I hit them up and I told them like, thank you for following me. I'm a big fan. If we ever get the chance, I would love to work with you. And he hit me back and he was like, yeah, I got mad respect for your craft. You're an MC, you're a lyricist. He's like, send me something. I told him I was working on the album. And so he was like, yeah, send me something and, we'll work. So I sent him 2 tracks and the Let It Breathe track was the one he decided to jump on. So, that happened, with him finding me and him just respecting what I do, to the point where, when I reached out to him, he was not hesitant to jump on the track with me. So, I was super happy for that, man. And that's how that Elzhi one came to be. And, I'm glad that people feel like I kept up because when he sent me the track back, I hit my boy Soul Chemist up. I was like, man, I almost feel like I got to rewrite my verse. But
it always feels that. It always feels that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like, I was like, man, all right, say less.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta keep it, man. But like, we typically play some music on here, man, and just let people get a feel for the project. So we're gonna play Let It Breathe since we are already talking about it.
All right.
You hear it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep your 2 cents, cause I heard loose lips and cruise ships. I'm trying to stay afloat as I coast away while the moon drips across the skyline in the nighttime while I write rhymes and hold the EQs, make my IQ shine like Einstein's. I walk a fine line between being a poet and prophet. Your life don't define mine. Here's a preview of my synopsis. Was scared to stalker than onyx. I always gotta stay polished. It's not to state the obvious. These words will make me a prophet. I'm just nice and low-key monster. Feel like the Loch Ness. How you think that I could block in with legends? Just trust the process. Just remember, failure doesn't mean the absence of progress. So keep that on your conscience. Do life while weighing your options. At times I really felt I won't fulfill my purpose. Doubting yourself, return your best bars in the B-side verses. As I rehearse behind these curtains, I can feel I'm nervous, cause life is all in neck. The script don't reach beyond surface.
Yeah, y'all. That's Let It Breathe off of Talk to Me. Nice, man. So that's one of the fire joints on there. One of my favorite joints on there, as well as a few others, man. So you spoke about Soul Chemist earlier, man, and spoke to a few people about him. A lot of people got a lot of respect for his production. How did you guys hook up? Is he doing majority of the project, or do you just have a bunch of different producers on the project?
Yeah, so he did about 4 songs on the project, and then I have a few other producers, including myself, on the project as well. But the way he and I hooked up was there was another producer that was using like a sample pack that Soul Chemist had put out, and so that producer had sent me a beat, and I was like, I was asking where the sample came from, and he was like, "Oh, I got it from my guy Soul Chemist." So I went and looked on Soul Chemist's Instagram, followed him. He followed me right back, and then I was listening to some of his beats on his page, and so I hit him up and I told him like, "Yo, we need to work, man. Your shit is crazy." And so he was like, "Yeah, for sure." He was like, "I'll send you a beat pack." And so, that was like the start of it, just, me just telling him like, "Yo, I fuck with your shit." And he was like, "Yo, I fuck with your shit too." So he sent me a beat pack like a week later, like maybe like 30 beats in there. Crazy, right? So I'm listening to all of them, all 30 go stupid. I'm like, bro, I don't even know how I don't even know how I'm gonna pick. Yeah, I don't even know how I'm gonna pick. He was like, "Man, whatever you want to do, just do it." So I was like, "All right, bet." So we did the first track we did together was the Golden Child 3, which was on my EP, From Beginning to End Into New Beginnings, that came out in 2020. So I sent that to him, and he listened. He was like, "Yo, this shit is crazy." He was like, "Yo, like you spitting." I was like, "Yeah, man, the beat was ridiculous." And then I sent him another track right back, which was Hyper's like from the same EP. And then he listened to that shit. He was like, "Yo, what the fuck?" He was like, I was like, "Man, I'm telling you, your shit makes me wanna write like that." And so he was like, "Yeah, man, we got to keep working together." So, and then what really put the stamp on it for us was before the EP came out, I actually got a chance to perform those songs for DJ Premier in New York, and man, Premier was just like,
is that one of the legends that you're talking about in the project that stamped you?
Yeah,
Okay.
man. Look, Premier was just like, man, he was like, "Man, that shit is," he was like, "You spitting straight bars." I still got the video on my phone and everything, but he was like, "Man, you spitting straight bars, man." He was like, crazy. So, and he was giving, big props to Soul Chemist too, as far as production and everything. So that just kind of cemented it for us. Like, we got to keep this thing going. And me being the kind of person that I am, like, I always want to look out for the person that I'm collaborating with. So next thing I asked him, I said, "Give me 5 artists that you want to produce for, right? 5 artists that you want to hear on your beats." And 2 of them was Shay Noir and Elzhi. And I told him, "All right, I'm gonna make that happen for you." So, so then I was able to get a feature from Shay Noir with this track that I dropped called New School, produced by Soul Chemist. And then I was able to get Elzhi for Let It Breathe. Just one, like, that was my way of showing them like, we're gonna go far together. If we stick to it, the way that we are. So, since then, like, we just been locked in, and we do a lot of work together. And this is not gonna be the last time that y'all gonna hear him. It's definitely gonna be a lot more coming from the both of us, in the future. So, yeah,
for sure. Yo, I want to play the intro, but I feel like that's like giving away a good movie. You know what I'm saying? When I'm doing these interviews, but I do want you to speak to something on the intro, because I always want to hear about the real life stories and just kind of let you, as the artist, give the ups and downs of what you're going through. I mean, I know you mentioned that this project took over 3 years to make, while you were putting out other projects and EPs just to kind of keep your name out there. But you also mentioned in the intro that you had some label situations and some contract situations, and you got right to it in that verse, and that's what I like. Yeah. That's what I like, because I get to know you. I get to know some of the things that you're going through. Everything ain't all glitz and gold. you know what I'm saying, in your world. So
Yeah.
I like that you gave us some of that. Can you speak on that and just like, you know, that whole process and things that you've learned since then?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So yeah, so the situation I spoke about on the intro, man, that was a situation that it was really a big learning process for me. Um, so essentially, what that was, I got approached by an individual through Instagram. He hit me up and he was telling me that he was, he does consulting for a record label, um, they're out of Texas, and they go by Pure Records and this, that, and the third. He was asking me if I had management or if I was with a label or anything like that. I was like, nah, I'm just independent right now, doing everything by myself. And he was like, well, I really love your music, and I think, my guys are gonna love your music as well. And we work closely with DJ Premier. We wanna see if you'd be interested in coming on board. And so, me being the hip hop head that I am, I'm like, oh shit, Premier, okay, you know. So I made sure to kind of try to check, make sure what he was saying was valid. Like, okay, I don't want if he just throwing shit out there to trying to see if I'm gonna catch bait or whatever. So, it turns out he was a close friend of Premier's, and everything. But so essentially, what happened with them was, when we're discussing the whole situation about how this contract is gonna go, everything. This was when the pandemic had hit, so it's like I wasn't working, I was still in school, I was getting ready to graduate, so I'm trying to make sure I can find a job, and it was just kind of like a really vulnerable time for me, just like it was for a lot of other people. So I felt like this opportunity coming at this time, it felt like a dream come true, right? It was like, this independent label wants to pick me up. I'm building, they building, but they tell me they got these connects. They tell me they got Premiere. They tell me, we gonna pay for everything. All you gotta worry about is making the music. We're gonna put it out there. We gonna, connect you, whatever. So I'm like, all right, cool. So after, several discussions, I ended up signing with them. Um, as soon as we really started getting to work, that's when things started looking a little shaky. Like it's like this whole kind of structure that they told me they had, and this, that, and the third. It really wasn't looking like it was there. So it's like the most important thing to me as an artist is like, one is having creative control, but two is also knowing that if I'm gonna be working with somebody or working for somebody, like let's make sure the finances are there, because this music business is just as much finances as it is talent. You know what I'm saying? Nowadays it's more finances than it is talent. Like
it's more
you ain't gotta-
business. It's that second part.
exactly,
The second part. The
exactly.
second part should be business music. It should be business music. That's what we should
Right.
call it, because that's what
That's
comes
what we
first.
should call it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, nowadays, like if you got the bread, you could blow up off anything, for real. So, but that's one of the most important things that I stress a lot when I'm working with somebody. Like, all right, let's make sure the finances are there, so that once we get ready to put the music out, we're not worrying about nothing. And it's like in every situation where we're getting ready to put something out, whether it was a video, a single, an EP, whatever, like it just seemed like they always like wasn't trying to put up the finances, or they was trying to they was leaning on favors and not really like trying to really put in the work. So
Being
and one
professional.
thing,
Being
exactly,
professional.
it was very unprofessional, you know what I'm saying? Like, and they was trying to get people to do them favors, and it's like you got to pay people, bro. Like, one thing I've learned about the music business, like, don't expect no favors. Like, anybody that's telling you they gonna do you any kind of favor, they probably bullshitting you like 90% of the time. You know what I'm saying? And I can say that from experience. Like, people will be like, "I got you, bro," and it's like you never hear from them again.
Yeah.
So it's like trying to lean on favors is not the best way to go about it. And so it's like they just not doing what they supposed to do. And y'all keep asking me to put out music, to give y'all music, this, that, and the third, but y'all aren't honoring your end of the deal, which is telling, like you told me the finances was gonna be there. You told me you was gonna promote my work. You told me you was gonna do this, that, and the third, and it's not looking like that. It's like the one thing that they did do was put me in front of Premiere, but at the end of the day, that's not the end all be all. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, Premiere still has to do his music business as well. So it's like Premiere ain't gonna take me from here to here just off the strength. You know what I'm saying? Like especially if y'all are telling him that y'all are my record label and y'all already got all these things lined up and whatever. So, most people, if they see that you already got a situation going on, they're not trying to get in the way of that. It just kind of looks like bad business at the end of the day. So it was like, once I kind of started expressing to them, like, y'all aren't holding up your end of the bargain. And it was, they kept trying to like throw in my face, like, oh, we put you in front of Premiere, But at the same time, I'm like, that didn't change my life. Like, it was a great moment, and I'm very, appreciative of it, and I'm humble, But y'all acting like that, just like I just became like a superstar overnight off that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not that. That ain't how that worked. So, so from there, it just like everything just kind of started rolling downhill, and things weren't looking good. So eventually, I told him, I wanted to step away from this situation. It had only been like 5-6 months we had been working. You know what I'm saying? And through that 5-6 months, like I was paying I was putting out a lot of money out of pocket, to make sure that my projects wasn't going unheard. Like, I still got to market this, I still got to promote it, I still got to put it out there. People are asking for merchandise, they're asking for vinyl. Y'all told me I was gonna do that, y'all not doing it. So I'm one of those people, like, if you tell me you're gonna do something and you don't do it, like, I'm gonna step up and do what I gotta do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not letting my shit flop. I'm not waiting on y'all to do what y'all said y'all was gonna do. So so that kind of started happening. And so once I told him I wanted out, I told him, like, let me know what I gotta do for us to walk away from this. And so they sent me like a document, like a type of situation where, all right, if you want to get out the contract, this is what you got to do. They was trying to get me to pay like $76,000. I was like, y'all ain't spend no fucking $76,000. Right. Y'all didn't even spend it. Like that shit was crazy, yo. I was like, yo, y'all are really out of pocket for this. You know what I'm saying? And what was even crazier was that there were 3 other artists on the label at the time, 5 including Soul Chemist, because I had brought them along with me. 2 of them had already left, but they didn't tell us why they left, right? We just knew they had some kind of discrepancy with the label. And then, so then it was myself, one other artist, and Soul Chemist left. And, we started having our problems with them. So we like, all right, we finna step, So then now they trying to quote us this crazy amount of money, saying that they spent all this money. I'm like, y'all spent it on what? Y'all never put me in the studio. Y'all never paid for marketing. Y'all never, like, y'all ain't paid for nothing. Like, I paid all this stuff out of pocket. So, so it was a crazy situation. And then once I started putting music out again, they was trying to take down my music, like file these takedowns and stuff like that. So, the only way, so one thing is like, the only way they can really enforce a takedown is, they got to take it to court. So I told them, like, all right, if this is how y'all want to play it, like, just know this is going to end up in court, and y'all are going to have to show, proof for all the stuff that y'all talking about. So eventually it did end up in court, and, the judge ended up ruling that they couldn't, stop me from putting out music or anything like that. Which was good for me, because I'm like, all right, I can go ahead and finish off with this. But also just having to go through that whole process of getting a lawyer, going to court, this, then the third, like, that takes a lot of time, a lot of money, things that I could have been putting into the album. Time and money I could have been putting into the album is now gone to court fees, lawyer fees, this, then the third. And not to mention, we weren't even the first group of artists that had fucked over. They had 4 other artists before us, and a lot of those artists were like they homies. You know what I'm saying? And they fucked over their own homies. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's like y'all really don't have no type of good business structure. Y'all. Yeah, exactly. Like, y'all character is fucked up, your business is fucked up. Like, so so thankfully I was able to walk away from that situation and still be able to do music, and keep all my music, with me. So that was just really kind of a learning curve for me, because and I tell. So I told Soul Chemist this as well when we was all kind of going through it. Like, I just feel like there's something bigger coming our way, and we needed to learn this first. Because it's like, say a bigger label had came to me, and it's like, with a bigger label, they got a lot more money, they got better lawyers. like I would have been fucked. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they would have been able to show some bullshit. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like I would have been fucked had I got in there with a bigger label and I didn't like the situation. Now I really can't walk away. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and I really
contract would have been way more flimsy, way more slicker, way more holes for them to recoup on something that they didn't pay. So
exactly.
Yeah,
so
you know,
so I was like, yeah. So I was just like, man, you know, I just kind of take it as something that I had to learn, you know, for whatever else is coming, you know, and you know, I would like to believe that it's bigger and better that's coming. So, you know, I just take it all as a lesson learned. But definitely, like I tell artists all the time, don't allow yourself, you know, like kind of like the vulnerability that you have as an upcoming artist. Don't allow somebody else to be able to play on that and put you in a situation that you're not going to benefit from. Like I really learned the importance of having a lawyer read your contract. You know what I'm saying? Like having, you know, a lawyer tell you like this is good, but this is not good. You might want to ask for this, you know, like the importance of having that. So it's like, if you can't afford a lawyer, don't sign no contracts. That's like point blank, period. Like if you can't afford a lawyer, please do not sign any contracts, because they're going to get in the court and they're going to tell the court, well, we told them, you know, take all the time you need, get a lawyer, you know, but it's like a lot of times you can't afford a lawyer as an upcoming artist. So
no.
Exactly.
So
it's like, and
yeah,
you know, always know they lawyers are not your friend.
No. Yeah, it's so much, man. Like at some point or another, man, I'm gonna get a bunch of you guys back together to talk about the business of it all. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All of the pitfalls, because you read these stories over and over and over again, and then people still get into the same type of jams over and over again. And I know, you know, when you need the bread and this is your dream, it's easy to turn a blind eye to a lot of different things, because here's your dream. You know what I mean? This is what you want to do. It doesn't feel like work, you know, and you're willing to forego the lawyer that's not a part of the label. Like they're like, yeah, I got somebody. Well, that somebody works for them. They're not in your best interest. You know what I mean? So, you know, the best thing you could do, and I'm not a artist. I'm just from seeing it and seeing how this legal game goes and just life. All I can say is just do your own research. There's so much material out there, YouTube, books. You know what I mean? What have you? There's countless books out there for you to be able to do your own research, to be able to find somebody to do something. To at least look at the contract for, you know, get a consultation and then see how you could pay it off. Everything ain't up front with certain lawyers. Sometimes you can pay over the course of a year or two or whatever the plan is, but it always benefits you. It's like, would you go get a credit card and it has 30% interest? I'm not saying that there's a credit card out there like that, but that's kind of like how these contracts come. You know what I mean? And you just never know what's going to happen, man. But that's how they try to get people that they think people are, you know, from, you know, modest beginnings or poor beginnings, and they're just gonna jump at anything. So, so man, sucks that you had to go through that, but looks like you on the other side of it, because you're putting out dope music again, and that's probably was the hold up and stuff like that from getting this album. But let's get back into the album, man, and just some of the stuff on there. So what's the next song you want to talk about? What song do you feel represents you the most, that you want the people to hear?
Man, let's talk about Childhood Dreams.
One of my favorites, man. One of my favorites. Glad you picked it.
That's a great track, man. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Love, my fascination with things when I was younger. Curiosity blossoms, still moving with caution, exploring my options. Who you wanna be, what you wanna do. Tell me what's your dreams, what you got to prove. Ain't got nothing to lose. Childhood ways that never go away. Really, they just fade. You lose a little bit of passion as you grow through every stage. You get complicit, ain't got responsibilities now. But let me tell you about the dreams I used to have as a child. I used to want to be a chef so I could cook up. I fell in love with the smells that was coming out the kitchen. I wanted restaurants and good eating, I had a vision. Only thing I ever hated about food was doing the dishes. I used to want to be a star my favorite artist was Michael. Watched every music video, I moonwalk just like him. My first idol used to want his music on vinyl. The day he died, I cried and I'm almost still in denial. I used to want to be an astronaut and see moon rocks, but now I'm smoking moon rock while I'm bumping too.
Yeah, man, that joint right there is real laid back, and I think that everybody that you had on that project added value. I mean, on that song added value to it. Just really, you know, just to sum it up, man. Like, what did that track mean to you all, and you know how your people approached it, man?
Yeah. So that track was one of the tracks that I felt like was essential to the album, because I feel like when you're putting out a debut album, that's your introduction to, you know, the game, and that's your introduction to your fans, you know, and people that are going to become your fans. And so when I was asking some people, like, what do y'all like to hear on a debut album? There was like, we like to get to know a person's backstory. We like to get to know about them. You know, we like for them to be a little bit personable. And so when I was putting that track together, and me and my guy Keyz, we were producing the beat, I told him, I was like, I want something that makes me feel like, kind of like how you feel when you listen to "The World Is Yours" by Nas. You know, that's my favorite song off of Illmatic. And so, you know, he started cooking up the beat, you know, everything original, no samples in it, you know, and he's super crazy with his production. And so as we were putting it together, you know, it was at his crib, you know, we chilling, and he started singing that Ahmad Back in the Day hook, you know, back in the day, I was a kid, I'm not a kid, and and so I was like, yo, that's dope. I was like, yeah, we should put that in there. We should kind of build, you know, the track around that. And so using that hook, I kind of built this, you know, kind of like the story of just kind of giving a backstory to myself, you know, as a younger kid, and the different things that I had interest in, and the dreams that I had, but also kind of like as we grow older, our dreams kind of seem to fade, and, you know, because you got to get out there, you got to get money, you got to pay bills, you got to work. Yeah. So it's like, man, people's dreams kind of, you know, take a you know, a back seat to them having to survive. And that's really what the song's really about, was kind of speaking from that perspective of, you know, going through all of these different dreams and ambitions that you have, and then getting to a point where it's like you feel like you can't even really go after them or fulfill them, because you know, you got to pay bills, you got to work and all that. So that was kind of the approach that I was taking at that. And like I said, I listed some of the things that, you know, I still love to do: cooking, you know, music, you know, Michael Jackson being my first favorite artist, still is my favorite artist of all time, you know. So it's those things that just kind of brought me back to, you know, really feeling like a kid again, and talking about that. And so another thing that really made this track so great for me was that Manny Voices, who had the last verse on the track,
yes,
he had a super incredible verse. But what also made it very important to me was he's also one of my mentors. He's mentored me throughout middle school all the way up to college. And he, you know, he used to tell me about how he used to rap back in the day, and play basketball, he used to hoop, and all those things. And so, and he also used to tell me just how much he wanted to get back into a creative space. At the same time, you know, he worked and he had an administrative position at our college. And so, you know, he was kind of working in that environment, and, you know, it's not really the most creative environment, you know. So when I had an opportunity to get him on the track, you know, I sent it to him. And originally, I was just kind of looking for a monologue, because I didn't know if he really like rap anymore.
He still had it. Yeah. You know if he still had it. Huh? Hey man, so he ain't know if he still had it.
I was like, I didn't know, man. I didn't know. So I sent it in. I was like, yeah, you could do a little talking on there, because he used to do a radio back in the day too. He got a good radio voice. So I was like, yeah, you could do some talking on it, you know. And he sent it back. He was like, yo, I dropped like 12 bars on there too. I was like, all right, you know. So I took a listen to it, and man, it was incredible.
And it ended up being great. It ended up being crazy, because it felt like he was talking to me, kind of like, I forget the track. It's on the tip of my tongue, and I can't quite remember. On maybe it's Never Let You Down off Kanye, one of Kanye's first 2 albums, either Late Registration or College Dropout.
With J. Ivy?
When I Will Never Let You
Yeah.
Down.
Yeah.
Like,
and he came in with that poetry, yeah.
Poetry, but it still fit the vibe. He didn't rap, but man, he rap, but like I felt like that. Like it felt appropriate, you know what I mean? And very relatable. And I think you guys nailed it in what you were attempting to do in terms of just, that's something anybody can relate to. Old, young, whatever. I still got childhood dreams. I'm still trying to rap. I'm still trying to put a podcast. I'm trying to do all these things that I didn't have time to because, like you said, man, I had to work. I had to put food on the table. I had other goals too. You know what I mean? As you grow, other goals, your work, you want to be the best in your profession too. Sometimes when you're making this music and, you got to balance it out. So it's very relatable, man. It's ageless. So great job on that. Great job on that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And crazy thing too, it's crazy that you mentioned J. Ivy because I actually have a song with him on my EP that I put out in 2020 called Testimony. And so it's kind of dope that you mentioned that too, because I kind of he my mentor as well. He loves J. Ivy as well. So it was just like you said, that kind of the same feel. Like it felt like somebody just kind of speaking to your soul in that moment. So yeah, definitely glad that you rock with it, and a lot of other people have told me that they love that track.
Yo, you also got the quintessential lady record on here, man. You know what I'm saying? Tell us a little bit about that. Hey Ma, man. Actually, let's play it for the people, man, for a second. Get this one off, man, because look, normally I can see it. I know the formula and what you're doing and how you're trying to make something that's, if I'm making an album, I want to make it like a day in my life. Every project. Those are my favorite projects where I feel like I peeked into a day of your life. This one wasn't overly in your face, but it was shit I went through in the dating scene. You know what I mean? I can relate. Here's Hey Ma, y'all.
Yeah. Look. There was a party on a Friday, I walked in with my crew. Hardly flashy, I'm rocking minimal jewels. Fresh from my shoes to my cut, keeping a low profile. Usually because I'm kinda introverted and shy. Well, until I'm drunk, time passes, I'm kinda buzzed. My glass is full of crown. Right all off of me, Patron like my liquor and women brown. I'm sorry, shorty, I pass on this one. It ain't my style, that somebody else caught my eye. I was pondering for a while. Should I approach her and then what would I ask her? What would I tell her? Do you got a man who'll see him around? And she know better than to leave a pretty girl by herself and lost in the function.
Wait a minute, hype. That's dirty macking right there, man. What's it? Dirty. Sniper season, sniper game.
I'm gonna explain.
Please explain. Please explain your sniping lessons out here, man. Please tell the people how hype is out here peeping you with a girl. So don't leave her, man. Tell us about it.
Nah, man. All right. So like you said, it's like a smooth, ladies record, and it's one that a lot of people who are familiar with my music kind of weren't expecting. So when I made the beat, I told a story during I had a listening event, like a virtual listening event for the album as well. But when I made this beat, so Chemist and I was kind of like, we had like a little competition going on, beat making, right? So he would send me a dope ass beat. I get on, cook a dope ass beat up, send it back to him. He was like, man, that shit crazy. All right, boom, boom. He sent one back. So that was one of the beats that I kind of made during that session. So it's kind of like a Jay Dilla, bounce to it.
Real jazzy. Yeah,
real jazzy. So I was like, yo, I'm kind of fucking with this. I got to put this one on the album. So I was trying to write to it, and of course, the first thing that comes to mind is just straight up some just bars, just like barring it up. But I was like, nah, I kind of want to do something a little bit more laid back, something a little bit more like, on the smooth side. So, one, a lot of that comes from, I study artists that are very versatile, Jay-Z, Nas, like artists that are lyrical, but they also give you like some bangers, like some you can bump in the whip, you know what I'm saying, with a lady, some you can play in the club.
Yeah.
It's essential. So, so when I was driving back from the gym one day, and I just kind of found myself kind of like humming the tune of the hook, right? So I was humming that, And so I was like, yeah, I kind of like that. So and you will notice like I come up with a lot of my song ideas in the car. I don't know why. Like it just
That's the best
happens.
place to listen, man. That's the
Yeah,
best
it's the
place to
best
listen
place.
and to vibe out because you're isolated in the car. It's only you,
Right.
the road, got to focus, got to pay attention. You're only paying attention to the music. So when you listen to instrumentals, it's the rhythm. You know what I'm saying? So I totally get it.
Yeah. So I came up with that hook, and so I was like, I bet now I got to build a story around it. So so yeah, it looks funny. You said Dirty Mac, and so when I was in college, I became part of the Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. And for people who don't know, that's one of the 9 black fraternity and sororities historically that are part of what's called a Divine Nine. And so, us as Kappas, we know to be smooth. Like we'll take your lady, you leave her alone type, type of talk. So
Boy,
it's like,
do I know.
so it's like, I was like, I seen it happen. You know what I'm saying? It's like I seen it happen. So it was like I kind of threw a little bit of that in there, like like we'll go to a function, we'll be kicking it, like and just kind of like being the smooth dude, walk up to chick, like and she might say she have a man, and some guys are respected, some guys will be like, why he leave you alone, chilling by yourself, what's up, so. It's like kind of threw a little bit of that in there. It's like I know some guys can relate. Like y'all done tried that before. So yeah, so it was kind of just like a little funny part of that story that I was building with the song. But also it was like I also love records like that. Like I love when hip hop artists collab with R&B artists, and I can't really sing, so like my vocals are in there on the hook. I did a little singing and I had to do a little pitch correction, but then I sent them to one of my homeboys. His name is Lou Alex. He's a dope artist as well. And so I sent it to him. I was like, I sung a hook on this song, but I kind of need you to come in there and feel it a little bit more, because you sing for real. So he was like, I bet, send it to me. So, I told him, I was like, should I leave my vocals in there? Or should I take them out and leave just yours? He was like, nah, leave your vocals in there too. So, so my vocals in there, his vocals in there. So it made just a really dope hook. And like I said, when I kind of built the story, it was like I still wanted to have a nice flow on there, but I knew I wasn't gonna be like super, lyrical. Like it's just like just telling a story, something people can bob their head to, follow along real easy. And then I sent it to my guy Jay Keyz, and he was like, "Yo, this might be the happiest song I ever heard you make."
Yo, but it's all about relatability. Like sometimes,
exactly.
Sometimes, like Here's my thing, man. I hate to interrupt you, but here's my thing,
man.
You
good?
Don't nobody want to come to the show and it just be a bunch of motherfucking dudes at the show. Exactly. When you perform, like you gotta have a wide variety of people there. And if you're single, you want some women. You want some women there. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You want a bunch of dudes. And then, my thing is, there's a lot of people that buy records. And women spend money. You know what I'm saying, on the shit that they like, and then they're more inclined to support. So, I mean, I think it's good to be multifaceted in terms of your approach and shit. You like women, man. I like those songs when they done well. Now, some people that force it.
Some people force it, and that's one of the things too. Like I didn't want to force it, so it was like it came naturally. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing I tell people a lot about when I make music.
Stealing people's girls or the song?
Nah, the song. The song. The other part, that's old me back in my young days in college. But nah, the song definitely, when the song comes natural, that's when it's the best to me. So, putting that song, and like you said, like women love hip hop too, so they want to hear something that makes them feel good too, something that they can play. You know what I'm saying? Like women like to have a good time, just like we like to have a good time. And when I'm performing, if I get a chance to perform at a show, I get to do a show. Like I don't just want to look out in the crowd and see a bunch of dudes hoodied up and dirty sneakers. Like I want to see the ladies that are having a good time too. Because everybody enjoys hip hop, so everybody wants to have something that when they go to a show, when they listen to an album, they have something they can relate to. So definitely, like that was one of the ones that came natural. And like I said, it's just me kind of following that footstep of artists like Jay-Z and Nas and other artists who have done those hip hop and R&B collabs that have become classics as well.
Cool. All right, hype man. I know I've had you for quite some time, but I want to end off with a few cool, fun questions, so to speak, from me, man.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if I always get a straight answer from a lot of people I ask this, but you're gonna be one of the first that I've been curating this question so that you guys can give me something. Cause I'll let it out. I'll let it out. I'll open up first and hopes that you open up.
Okay.
One of my favorite rappers coming up was MC Hammer.
Oh, word.
After MC, yeah, first one that I got to gaining momentum. Hammer, like that was my introduction, right? In terms of what I would like, the pants, larger than life, Hammer. Then as I got into a little bit more music, getting the Bad Boy, Rockefeller days, it was either Mace or Memphis Bleak. These aren't the most popular choices, right? Those are my guilty pleasures. Up until current day. Anytime Wiz Khalifa drops a project, I just love the fun that he has on records.
Yeah.
That's just me. Now, do I go to a Wiz Khalifa project all the time? Nope. But there's certain Wiz Khalifa projects that when I was out in the streets and having a good time and kicking it, traveling to different countries, it was the backdrop to what I was doing. I wasn't listening to Nas and Hove all the time. Sometimes I wanted to listen to those things. So those are some of my guilty pleasure listens. What are three artists that people wouldn't typically, you always got your list, right? Everybody asks for your list, who your top this, top that, but they never ask you who's your guilty pleasure list. Who are people you listen to that you just never like really tell a whole lot of people, but they music come out, you jam it typically.
Yeah, off the top, I could tell you those right now. Young Thug, definitely one of my guilty pleasures. Like, man, Thug, he just got some
hella
fun
melodic,
music.
man. I love that shit,
Exactly. And it's like it's just fun to listen to. Like and his beats be crazy a lot of times too. Like I'm like, yo, he got a good
the joint he had in the dress that he made a couple years ago.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Sick. It was good.
Crazy. Yeah. It was a good project. Like I ain't gonna front on it, My second one, Keyz, one of my favorite rappers out of Memphis.
Man. Yo, that Dumb and Dumber series he had with Dolph, stupid.
Man, that I remember the first time I heard Keyz, it was that song's called Hot. Man, that jump was crazy. I was like, yeah, this dude is nice. So I say Keyz. And my third one, that's a tough one. But my third one, I would have to say, for my third one, I probably put Uzi in there. Like definitely, especially like earlier Uzi, he had a lot of stuff that I was bumping as well. So yeah, definitely be those three: Young Thug, Keyz, and Uzi. And I even throw in a fourth one for you. I'll give you a female rapper that I think she's fun to listen to me.
Who is it?
Her name is, if you ain't known her yet, her name is Mona Leo.
Okay. Nah, I never heard of her.
Yo, it ain't the most lyrical thing you ever heard, but she go in. When she go in, she go in. Like, and she's dope to me. So
you know another person I'm listening to right now, and my wife be like, "Yo, what's happening?" Like when she get in the whip, I'll be singing it. I'll be singing the lyrics, and I'm ashamed. Bia, she get J. Cole. Bro, yo, I'm loving that UK stuff, man. Like I'm out here. I'm about a quick hour flight from London out here in Germany. I've grown to really like what they're doing out there. Yeah. And I think she nothing super lyrical, but I just think she made a great song with Cole.
Yeah, with Cole. I mean? London, I've been bumping that like crazy. That's on my gym playlist. Gotta hear it.
Exactly. Yeah. You gotta find somewhere. That's where this stuff normally lands with me, in the gym, man. Mm-hmm. And it gets me through my workout. So thanks for obliging me on that. Now we'll get to my life. Are you into sports?
Yeah, a little bit. I haven't really been following sports for a minute. Like once I got into college, I kind of started watching TV and a lot of stuff. So I'm really just now getting back into it, like watching TV and getting into shows and sports again. So yes, I'm just kind of like picking back up on a lot of stuff.
Got those out. Boom, boom. Those questions gone. All right, let's get to your real top five. Your top five lyricists, artists, whatever, however you want to lump them in.
So my top five Um, in no particular order, my top 5 of all time, I'm gonna say this: my top 5 of all time are Biggie, Jay-Z, Nas, Lil Wayne, and Jadakiss. Those are my top 5 favorite rappers of all time. Currently, the list is a little bit more mixed up. So currently, my top 5 is Nas and Jay-Z still in there, but I put Kendrick in there. I put Pusha T in there, and I would put J. Cole in there
Not the
as
boy?
well.
You miss Canada. You was in Canada during your formative years. Not the boy.
I know, man. If you had asked me like between like 2012 and like 2015, he'll be in there. But I haven't really like his most recent stuff hasn't like really been my favorite from him. But I still think he's a phenomenal artist when he really gets in his bag. But I think like personally, I think he's outside of his prime as far as artists. He's still putting up numbers, no doubt. But like as far as like the music that he makes, I personally don't see it of him still being in his prime. Like to me, his prime was like that 2010 all the way up to like nothing was the same kind of run.
Yeah,
like
views
he was
views when
really
it started
killing it.
getting murky.
Yeah,
Going back to it,
exactly,
I like more of it now. But
Mhm.
yeah, it started getting to be like
yeah,
people could poke holes.
murky around then.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool, man. So we'll let you take us out of here, man. Anything you want to say to your supporters? Definitely want you to shout out your social media and just in general, man. Anything you got coming next for the rest of the year?
Man, so to my supporters and everybody that's been listening and showing love, I just want to say thank y'all. It's really been great with everything that after going through everything that I went through. People still coming out to support and still listening to the music and paying attention and sharing it and all that. And so the reception to the album has just been amazing. People tell me like they love it top to bottom, and so that's what I wanted to accomplish with this album. Was to put out what I feel like over time, the more people discover me, this is gonna grow to become a classic to a lot of people, and that's what I want it to be. And for what's coming next, I'm working on adding a few more tracks onto the album and dropping a deluxe version. A lot of people have been asking for a vinyl, so I wasn't able to put out a vinyl with this first wave of the album. So once I finish the deluxe, I definitely want to drop a vinyl with that one. So I'm working with a few more dope rappers, a few more dope upcoming rappers as well, to get them to drop a verse on the deluxe. So that'll be coming later this year. And then outside of that, a lot of people just been reaching out wanting to work. So I'm gonna see. I'm just talking to people to see what sticks. And what's gonna come from that as well. So definitely looking forward to that. As far as my socials, you can find me on all social media: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, wherever you look. Is at DA_insane hype. So DA_insane hype. That's where you can find me on all social media. And once you find me there, you'll find everything else: my music, my merch, all that. So definitely tap in with me and just come along for the ride, because it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy. A lot of people tapping in. So yeah, looking forward to that.
For sure. Hey man, again, once again on behalf of Prez and Nah, man, congratulations on the body of work, man. It sounds like you put the time in. It sounds like you put the time into the production. It sounds like you put the time into the mixing, the mastering, the small nuances of it all. That we do listen to those type of things, and we appreciate when an artist, especially an artist as young as you're taking your time to, when you do make a debut, it's impactful and it sounds professional. You know what I mean? So salute to you on that, man. And once again, anytime you ever, putting something out, or if you're not putting something out, if we talk about certain things or certain artists or certain, topics that interest you, feel free, man, to reach out, man, and we'll definitely bring you on. It doesn't have to be to promote anything. So that's the type of, place that we're trying to, make this thing is like, not just for the interviews, but whatever you need, man. So, with that said, Ladies and gentlemen, this is the bonus episode, Indie Artist Spotlight. Go support Hype. You can find his music, follow his socials. We'll definitely have it here in the show credits where you can get to him on his socials and his music, and go check out the back catalog, because I can guarantee you, if you are like us, once we listen to something good, we go to the back catalog and we start running the numbers up and help them, you know, promote their Spotify list at the end of the year and show all their numbers and stuff like that. But, you know, without the support from the indie community, you know, for the folks that's listening for the first time, these people wouldn't keep putting out the music, man. I know they love to make music, but love to make a little bit of change to it. It feels good. It feels good to make a little bit of change too. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
So
and real quick, I because you mentioned the mastering, I want to shout out my guy Ralph C, who did the mastering for the album. And he's worked with a lot of legends, man, from Kanye to he's done Outkast albums, and he's worked on a lot of Big Crit projects. He just did Big Crit's most recent album
one of
as
my
well.
favorite joints.
Yeah, so so he definitely showed me love on the album and working with me to make sure it sounds good, So, and I recorded a good bit of it at his studio as well, down in Atlanta, Georgia. So definitely shout out to Ralph C, and one last shout out to DJ Beans. She's been super incredible with just helping put the project out there and sending it to her people in the industry, and they've been showing love as well. So shout out to those two people for sure.
For sure. Yeah, I think I even follow her. I probably, never probably been weird about, connecting. But yeah, I saw, I think she either did an interview or she had like a clip that she put out recently, with you shouting out your music. So yeah, she a real one for that. So yeah, shout out to her as well, man. But yeah, man. So again, people, this is Hype. This is Don't Sleep on the Couch podcast. Y'all tap into the music, tap in to the podcast. Make sure y'all share, like, subscribe, and all that stuff that people typically say here. This is what we about: music, sports, entertainment, and culture. We out.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for your time.
Peace. No doubt.
Sir.